Hey everybody, what's happening? It's Steven.
And Spencer.
We're bringing you a presentation today on communication. This is video number 2 of our project success videos that we would be bringing you typically in class. So we're excited about this one. You're not going to listen to us the entire time. We're actually going to have a couple different videos that you will see. One of them we both think is pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And communication is awesome because it's one of those things that we do on a regular basis in a bunch of different platforms. So we want to give you as much information as possible in a short amount of time to help you be the best communicators that you can be.
So let's start off by defining communication. Communication is the sending and receiving of messages so that both the sender and receiver can understand them. That last part is very important, we believe. Sometimes the sender doesn't think about how they're saying the message or whatever it may be, and they don't see that the receiver doesn't understand what they're trying to say. So on the next slide, we're going to move forward and we're going to show you a little video that we have made. Typically in class, this would be the time where we kind of split you off into groups and we'd ask you guys to create a recipe for us. How to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But since we can't be in class with you guys right now, we made the video ourselves. We actually had a couple kids that we work with send us their recipes for it, and we actually made them in a video, so please watch and enjoy the video.
Alright, Spence, you ready?
I'm ready.
Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these class instructions that we've been given from other students. We're going to read them as they're written, and Spencer is going to listen to those instructions and do exactly as is written. Alright,
Hopefully make a sandwich.
that's the goal. Number 1, this is the first person. It says, get a loaf of bread. Now, get the jelly out of the fridge.
Got it?
Get the peanut butter out.
Got it.
Same with the plate, the knife, and the paper towels.
We're going to call the paper towels a plate for today.
Okay. Get the jelly and open the jar.
Does it say how?
No, it says open the jar. It says get the knife.
Okay, that's open.
And spread jelly on one side of one slice of bread.
Nothing about getting jelly out of the jar or anything?
No, then get the knife and spread jelly on one side of the slice of bread.
Okay. Looks good.
Now,
Okay.
you gotta get peanut butter.
I should leave the jelly on the side of the bread.
Yeah, I can do that. Get peanut butter, open the lid. Step 8, spread peanut butter on the other side of the bread, only on one side.
I'm just going to spread the peanut butter on the other side of the bread. Okay.
Got it. Good. Nailed it. Then, put the sides with the jelly and the peanut butter together, and put the sandwich on a plate.
Well, it's kind of on the plate. I don't really see how logistically I can put that together.
You can try to fold it.
Almost.
Almost. That's
This made things worse.
gonna be tough to digest.
I don't think plastic goes down too easy.
No, I don't think so.
Alright.
Alright, next recipe.
Oh, let me reset.
Recipe number 2. This one's good. It tells you to get your materials.
Got him.
What other materials do we need? Anything?
My peanut butter, my jelly, my bread, my knife, my paper towel plate.
Alright, it says get your plate, a piece of bread,
Just get a piece of bread.
get a piece of bread, and peanut butter.
Okay. 1 piece of bread.
Then use the knife and spread the peanut butter on the bread.
How do I get the peanut butter? Get to the peanut butter.
So, get your plate, a piece of bread and peanut butter.
Okay.
Then use the knife and spread the peanut butter on the bread.
Okay. Go right to the tip. Spread the peanut butter.
Alright? Now, get the bread and jelly.
I'm just going to assume I mean another piece of bread, but I'm not sure. And the jelly.
Smear the jelly on the bread.
I'm guessing open it. And smear
Smear.
with the knife.
Nope. Get the bread and jelly and smear the jelly on the bread.
Jelly is smeared.
It's disgusting. Now, squish the 2 pieces of bread together and put on a plate.
Okay.
Eat it. Drink milk if you would like.
I would like.
You'd like some milk? All right, we're going to continue with our presentation.
Now we know Spencer really does know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So this is just an example to show you of how important it is for the sender to send a message that the receiver understands. That is super important. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of these barriers and what they look like when it comes to communicating, not just verbally, but it could be through text messages or emails or Instagram or whatever way you communicate. These are some ways that can be, some barriers that can be in place that stop you from communicating the best ways possible. So the first one is the lack of knowledge about the message. This is one where you're communicating and they just don't understand, or you don't understand and have as much information about the topic as necessary. So a lack of knowledge can cause somebody to tune out. We understand that. Next, there's the jargon. Jargon is just the fancy word for the language that's being used. If you use language that people don't understand, they're going to tune you out. Then volume of voice. This one is really important because if I start yelling, you're going to probably go into a defensive mode. You're not going to listen quite as well as if I just came over and talked to you. So the volume of your voice and the fluctuation of your voice is extremely important when you communicate. Those can be barriers. Age difference. You could be 12 years old having a hard time communicating with somebody that's 80. The age difference is something that's definitely possible. A lack of focus by either you, the sender, or the receiver. Your message could just be flat out boring. So the jargon, the boring message, maybe the lack of knowledge, all of those things when you're delivering a message to somebody, they might just tune it out and just say like, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
And another one. This one I think Spencer and I would agree is the biggest one, and we probably both need to work on it a little bit ourselves.
Oh, for sure.
Is the cell phone etiquette. When you're sitting there having conversations with people, if you have your phone on the table, it might indicate that whatever's going on your telephone or your cell phone is more important than the people around you. Mm-hmm. So it's a good idea to put that in your pocket, maybe put it on vibrate or whatever. We're consistently connected with people, and so this can be a barrier because if I'm talking to Spencer and he's on his phone, I might say, well, you're not really that interested in what I have to say, and vice versa.
Oh, for sure.
You want to tell them about you and your friends, what you guys do?
Yeah, so we were out to dinner, a group of my friends were out to dinner one night, and we all kind of realized at one point that we were all sitting around a table, and everybody was just looking at their phones. Like, we had all made this plan to go out and hang out and talk and just enjoy each other's company, and then we all just kind of sat there on our phones, either sending text messages to other people, replying to social media things, whatever it may be. So what we decided to do is we decided that whenever we're out to dinner like that, we're going to pile our cell phones in the middle of the table. And then the first person to go and check their cell phone actually has to pay the entire bill. So it gives us an incentive because when there's 8 to 10 people at the table, you don't really want to pay that bill. That's a lot of money
That's
out of your
a big
pocket.
bill, man.
So if we can get through dinner, and that's just the way we've done to kind of make sure that we stay present in the moment, and that's a big part of communication is staying present in the moment you're currently in.
Absolutely. That's a big one, and that's one that we see in class when your teachers are presenting, when you're walking around. Consistently, we've seen you on campus with your head down as you're walking. I'm surprised myself that I haven't run into something.
Oh, I've seen it happen to people.
So it's a big thing, especially when you're talking to some of the older people. We did say age difference was one thing, but it's really important that when you're talking to somebody older, whether it's a teacher or a grandparent or somebody in the community, if you're showing or doing this, it's really hard for them to communicate with you, and it shows a lack of disrespect to some of the older people. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to go to lack of interest. It could just be a lack of interest in the conversation or the person that you're talking to. The speed of the dialogue. Sometimes we can just get so nervous and we talk so fast that it kind of just turns people off and they don't want to listen. But then sometimes we sound like that guy, the dry eyes guy. What was his name?
Yeah.
Ben Stein?
Ben Stein.
Ben's clear eyes. And so when you talk like that and you're just super monotone or you sound like Eeyore, that can be a problem to communicating. And so we want to make sure that we're communicating effectively, we're using the right sort of speed and variations of that because it's really important. Mm-hmm. This one is also huge. body language. You might have poor body language. We're going to get into this a little bit more, but body language is super important when it comes to communication. If Spencer is talking to me and I'm standing there with my arms crossed and not really giving a rip about what he's saying, he's going to know that. And that's going to be a barrier for me to listen to what he's saying and for him to even kind of convey the message that he's trying to say. Disabilities, an unwillingness to listen, and an emotional state. These are all elements that are barriers to communication.
So quickly, Stephen, I just want to kind of point out, emotional state I think is really important, guys. It's important to understand your own emotional state when you're having a conversation with somebody, especially if it's something serious, because if you're not emotionally there, you can't really be there for somebody and have a real conversation with them. It's difficult to do that if you're not there emotionally yourself. So it's important before you have these conversations with your friends or family, whatever it may be, to check your own emotional state.
Absolutely, and thanks for pointing that out. Like, the emotional state of both people really matter when it comes to communicating. Because if I'm super emotional and Spencer is kind of angry or whatever it may be, it might not be a good time to communicate. He might not understand what I'm trying to say just because of our emotional state. So it's really important that you understand these are some of the barriers of communication. They are not all of them, okay? And so there are a bunch of other things. You probably have a list of things that are frustrating for you, and we know that. So these are just some of them. These are the big ones that we see. We would encourage you, if you are any of those things, start working on them little by little. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you another video. And this guy is it the guy? No, it's the young lady.
This is the young lady, yes.
This is the young lady. So this video is hilarious. And we're going to jump into that, and then we're going to talk about that as soon as we're done.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Okay, guys, so like Stephen said, we really like that video. Poor Miss South Carolina there. She wasn't doing what we call active listening, and that's the biggest key to effective communication. So you could kind of tell there that she had a kind of a set answer. She wanted to talk about the kids in Africa. She wanted to talk about the kids in Iraq and how they're not being educated, but completely ignored what the actual question was.
Absolutely.
And so she wasn't practicing what we call active listening, which is ask questions, look for commonalities, you want to pay attention, and even paraphrase what the speaker is saying. Now, sometimes I think people feel like paraphrasing might be like, oh, why are you repeating yourself to me? But it's not. It's just kind of letting the speaker know, like, hey, so I heard you saying this, I'm just trying to clarify that's what you meant.
Yeah, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Because that helps, like, if I think you're saying something else and I paraphrase, you're like, no, that's not what I meant. We get on the same page. And then...
And that's where the whole sender and receiver both understanding comes into play right there.
That's a good point.
So yeah, poor Miss South Carolina, you know, she had her kind of set cookie cutter answer out there, and it really just didn't work out for her. Next thing on the list for keys to effective communication is body language. Stephen talked about this a couple slides ago. Body language can be a barrier, but it's also a key. So good body language. Show the person that you're present, you know, face them. If I was to stand in front of you guys in class and put my back to you when you asked me a question, you wouldn't think I cared about what your question was. You wouldn't think I was engaged with you at all. So you want to show the person you care, face them, make eye contact. Eye contact is extremely important. For some people, eye contact can be a little uncomfortable, and I understand that. So for you guys out there who aren't comfortable making eye contact with somebody, a couple tricks for you. You can look at their forehead right here, or you can look at the tip of their nose. And it'll give them the impression that you're looking at them in the eyes without you doing something that you're uncomfortable with. The next one is you want to keep your stress in check. And this is really big when communicating with somebody, say, that you're having a disagreement with. Because sometimes when you're having a disagreement, you start to kind of get riled up and you want to yell and scream or say mean things, whatever it may be. So keep your stress in check, try to keep yourself calm, so that way you're not fighting and yelling and hurling out insults and things like that. So you can ask questions, ask for clarification before responding. Again, that's paraphrasing what the speaker said. Just like, hey, I just want to make sure this is what you meant. Pause to collect your thoughts. That's a big one. So give yourself a second to kind of like, okay, before I respond, let me think about what I want to say. 'Cause I think sometimes we respond like too quickly and we just come off top of the head, and it can be insulting sometimes, to be honest.
It's dangerous.
Yeah,
You say things you wish you could take back, and sometimes you just can't.
exactly. So you take a moment to pause so you don't say something that you wish you could take back. That's for sure. And the last thing here is assert yourself. So you want to value yourself, know your own needs and wants. So if you're having a disagreement with somebody, this could go into conflict resolution. You want to know what you need and what you want out of the situation or from that person. And if you have them, express your negative thoughts. But in a, what would you say? In a calm and concise manner.
Yeah.
And receive feedback positively. That's really important. I think it's hard for people sometimes to receive feedback, especially when it's negative feedback. So receive negative feedback. If you can express your negative thoughts to somebody else, you need to be able to receive negative feedback sometimes.
Yeah, that constructive criticism is really kind of an important thing.
Yeah.
We don't talk too much about that, but when it comes to accepting that and to help you get better, really will then help you assert yourself in further conversations.
For sure. So guys, these are just 4 things you can do to kind of help yourself start to communicate more effectively. Like Steven said at the very beginning of the video, it's things that you're going to have to learn, and it's a skill you have to learn and hone throughout your life. We're still doing it.
Yeah.
This day, we learn how to communicate with our coworkers and things like that on a daily basis. But if you start now, you'll get better at it throughout your life. So next up, we have another video. I believe it's
Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. So it's a really good video, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
That engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when you get a text, it feels good, right? So, we've all had it where you're feeling a little bit down or feeling a bit lonely, and so you send out 10 texts to 10 friends, hi, 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 because it feels good when you get a response, right? Right? It's why we count the likes. It's why we go back 10 times to see if my Instagram is growing slower. Did I do something wrong? Do they not like me anymore? Right? The trauma for young kids to be unfriended, right? Because we know when you get a hit of dopamine, which feels good. It's why we like it. It's why we keep going back to it. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive, right? We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and we have no age restrictions on social media and cell phones, which is the equivalent of opening up the liquor cabinet and saying to our teenagers, hey, by the way, this adolescence thing, if it gets you down... But that's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening, right? That's basically what happened. You have an entire generation that has access to an addictive, numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they're going through the high stress of adolescence. Why is this important? Almost every alcoholic discovered alcohol when they were teenagers. When we're very, very young, the only approval we need is the approval of our parents. And as we go through adolescence, we make this transition where we now need the approval of our peers. Very frustrating for our parents, very important for us. It allows us to acculturate outside of our immediate families into the broader tribe, right? It's a highly, highly stressful and anxious period of our lives, and we're supposed to learn to rely on our friends. Some people, quite by accident, discover alcohol and numbing effects of dopamine to help them cope with the stresses and anxieties of adolescence. Unfortunately, that becomes hardwired in their brains, and for the rest of their lives, when they suffer significant stress, they will not turn to a person, they will turn to the bottle. Social stress, financial stress, career stress, that's pretty much the primary reasons why an alcoholic drinks, right? What's happening is because we're allowing unfettered access to these dopamine-producing devices and media, basically it's becoming hardwired, and what we're seeing is as they grow older, too many kids don't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships. Their words, not mine. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial. They will admit that their friends, that they don't count on their friends, they don't rely on their friends, they have fun with their friends, but they also know that their friends will cancel on them as something better comes along. Deep, meaningful relationships are not there because they never practice the skill set, and worse, they don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to a device, they're turning to social media, they're turning to these things which offer temporary relief. We know, the science is clear, we know that people who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook, right? These things balanced. Alcohol is not bad, too much alcohol is bad. Gambling is fun, too much gambling is dangerous, right? There's nothing wrong with social media and cell phones. It's the imbalance, right? If you're sitting at dinner with your friends and you're texting somebody who's not there, that's a problem. That's an addiction. If you're sitting in a meeting with people you're supposed to be listening to and speaking, and you put your phone on the table, face up or face down, I don't care, that sends a subconscious message to the room that you're just not that important to me right now, right? That's what happens. And the fact that you cannot put it away is because you are addicted, right? If you wake up and you check your phone before you say good morning to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse, you have an addiction. And like all addiction, in time, it'll destroy relationships, it'll cost time, and it'll cost money, and it'll make your life worse.
So that video, I think, is extremely important. He hits on some really important things, kind of as Spencer mentioned about his friends putting the phones on the table. He really makes some very good points about what the dopamine does. If we're honest, the Instagram likes, the Facebook, all those things, the texting, hey, all that's really important to realize that that's a biological, that's a chemical thing going on in our brain that can affect us. So what we want to talk about now is an iMessage. And an iMessage is a positive way to communicate strong emotions during conversations with others. To use an iMessage is to express how you feel and what you would like to happen. So for example, if you were having an iMessage or a conversation with an iMessage, what you would say is, I feel blank when blank, you describe the event that caused your feelings, and you need to be specific. And then please tell the person what you would like to happen in the future. These are important. So we've kind of filled in the blanks on this one. It says, I feel upset or anxious when you yell at me for not doing my chores. So this could be applied towards your parents or whoever it might be. Please just talk to me in a calm tone so I won't get defensive. Basically what you've done is you've taken the pressure off of them by saying, this is how I feel. And you give your emotion. And then when this situation happens, that specificity is important to those people because it's not just a random time. Then you explain what you would like to happen. Those are really good things. Really good for conflict resolution. Not just normal conversations, but conflict resolution is this is a really key thing. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you one more video, a quick video on a guy that's using a you message versus an I message. The you message is the attacking, you did this type message, whereas the I message is what we've just discussed here on the screen.
Aaron, what the heck are you doing?
Excuse me?
You haven't done anything on this project. I've been working my butt off on it.
So
the problem is that if you don't do anything, you're going to cause both of us to fail.
I'm gonna cause.
Yes, you are going to cause. You're going to cause us to fail because I've been working my butt off. You haven't done anything.
Whatever, man.
What am I going to do now? Hey, Darren, how's it going?
Hey, bud. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Notice ya?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, we've been doing this project for a while, and I've been really working pretty hard on it, and I've been having a little bit of trouble because it doesn't seem like we're really working together all that much on it.
No, I definitely feel you, and I just totally remember that deadline's this Friday.
It is, and I mean, the thing is that I think we really got to figure out some time and work together and get this project done, or else we're not going to do all that well.
I agree with you, and my part has definitely not been up to par or as done as it should be, and it's my fault. I totally realize that.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I've just been dealing with a lot of personal things. I'm I just wanted to relax. I'll put this up. I'll get to work tonight. Okay.
Okay. And I've been working on this thing, so I kind of know what we're doing. So if you've got any questions, just let me know.
I'll definitely shoot you a text.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Have a good one, man.
See you, bud.
Hey guys, so that video was a really good example of the you message versus the I message. So in the very first part of the video, he came in pretty hot as his coworker, kind of yelling at him, came in pretty aggressive, which in turn will lead the other person to get aggressive or defensive, one of the two. That's that whole fight or flight mentality.
Absolutely.
But then in the second part, he came in calmly and just said, "Hey, look, we have this project going on. It's due this Friday. We really need to be working together on this." And his coworker was able to understand that and come back at him in a clear and calm manner.
Real quickly, I think that's part of the resolution. Conflict is aggressive conflict. The conflict resolution is what we want to do and have that to help us be stronger, have better relationships, healthier relationships.
Most definitely. So that kind of brings us towards the end of our video here today, guys. We're going to kind of go through, just recap what we went over today. So with communication, first thing you want to do is definitely know the definition of communication. The sending and receiving of messages so that both the sender and receiver can understand them. That part's really key. Next, know your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to communicating with others. So know what you're good at. You know, if you're good at, you know, letting somebody know your feelings, then understand that and use that. If you're not good at that, some of us aren't good at expressing our feelings. Start to kind of hone that skill and learn that, you know, expressing your feelings is very important when you're trying to communicate to people, whether it's your friendships, romantic relationships, or even with your parents.
Yeah.
Next thing is remember the keys to effective communication, which are active listening, body language, keeping your own stress in check, and asserting yourself in conversations. And lastly, remember the difference between I messages versus you messages. That's very important because that's huge when it comes to conflict resolution.
And as I said at the very beginning, communication is something that we will do for our entire life, whether it's listening to instructions or having verbal conversations or getting emails or sending pictures or whatever it may be. We're consistently communicating with people. We are the most connected that we've ever been as a people. And it was interesting on that video with Simon Sinek, putting subconsciously you're telling those people that are there that they don't matter as much as what's going on in your phone. So that's really important as we continue to move on and develop this process with the project success. We'll talk about some other topics that are going to be a little bit heavier. And so we want you guys to know that we're here for you. Those of us that are at Nexus, we would love to support you any way that we can. At the very beginning of the video, you will see our phone number and our information, as well as our YouTube page. You can go to YouTube and it's Nexus Youth and Family Services. You can click subscribe, maybe hit the little bell to get notifications when we put new videos out there, whatever it may be. And if you want to give us a call, you want to talk to Spencer or myself, give us a call, 209-257-1980. We'd love to talk with you about what's going on and be of assistance any way that we can.
Definitely. And as always, guys, stay healthy and stay safe.